In this video, we're going to look at enlargements and stretches, and we'll approach it in much the same way as we've done with the others, just figuring it out from scratch. So find the 2 by 2 matrix that corresponds to an enlargement of 3 parallel to the x-axis. So what does that mean? Well, what it means is if we have a particular point, like the point x, y, well, this should be stretched out so that all of its x values are 3 times what they were. That is, this point gets stretched out to here so that the new x value is 3x and the new y value is the same. So this is parallel to the x-axis because it's been stretched that way. So the question is, what's the matrix which takes the point xy and maps it to the point 3xy? Well, it's fairly simple. It's 3 times x plus 0 times y. 3x plus no y is 3x. Then we want no x's plus 1y. And so there's our matrix, 3, 0, 0, 1. And this can be generalized. We can say that a matrix A, 0, 0, 1 is a stretch of scale factor A parallel to the x-axis, or an enlargement of A parallel to the x-axis. And A can be negative, and that just pings it all over to the other side, but it leaves the y value alone. What about an enlargement parallel to the y-axis? Well, we'll do the same thing. We'll take our point here, x, y, and if we stretch it so the y values get multiplied by 4, it stretches it all the way up here to this point here, x, 4y. And the question becomes, what's the matrix which maps xy to the point x, 4y? And the answer is 1x and no y's to get x, and no x's and 4y's to get 4y. So 1, 0, 0, 4 is an enlargement of scale factor 4 parallel to the y-axis. And again, we can generalize. 1, 0, 0, a is an enlargement of scale factor a parallel to the y-axis. So enlargements, fairly straightforward. We can even start to combine them. For example, if I had the matrix 2, 0, 0, 3, well, this is just a stretch with scale factor 2 in the x direction and 3 in the y direction. If you're ever unsure, you can always just have a look at what it actually does to an arbitrary point. It takes this to 2x and 3y. So your x values get multiplied by 2, your y values get multiplied by 3. Okay, let's have a go at a little problem here. So describe the transformation represented by mn. Well, let's see what mn actually is. So we've got 5 minus 1, 2 minus 2. We multiply that by 2, 1, 2, 5. So 5 times 2 is 10, minus 2 is 8. 5 times 1 is 5, minus 1 times 5 is minus 5, we get 0. Then it's 4, minus 4 is 0. And lastly, 2 minus 10 is minus 8. Okay, so what is that? Well, this is two things really. If I pull out a factor of 8, I might recognize this from a previous video. That's 1, 0, 0, minus 1. So what does this one do? Well, either you remember, or if you don't, you just work it out. You say 1, 0, 0, minus 1 takes the point x, y, and takes it to the point x minus y. A little sketch if it helps. That takes the point xy to x minus y. It's a reflection in the y-axis. So this transformation is doing two things. It's reflecting in the x-axis. That's a reflection in the x-axis. And then it's enlarging the entire thing by 8. That's affecting the x value and the y value. So the description of this is, and it actually doesn't matter what order we do this in, This is a reflection in the x-axis, followed by an enlargement with scale factor 8. And it doesn't matter, you don't need to specify parallel to this or that axis because it's in both axes. Okay, part B. A triangle has vertices 2, 1, 6, 1, 6p. Given the triangle is transformed by mn and the resulting triangle has an area of 320, find the value of p. Well, since we're thinking about areas, we should probably think about determinants. So I'll want to know what the determinant is so I know what the area scale factor is. So the determinant of mn is, well, it's minus 64. So that tells me that the area scale factor of the transformation is, well, it's 64, but there's been a reflection as well. But the areas have been multiplied by 64. So if the new triangle, the one that's been transformed by mn, has an area of 320, the original triangle must have been 64 times smaller. Well, 320 is 64 times 5. So the original triangle, oops, that's supposed to be a triangle, had an area of 5. And that 5 got multiplied by 64 to give the new area of 320. So if these 3 points formed a triangle with an area of 5, can I figure out what p is? Well, I can, and a useful thing to do is just plot this out. So take a look at this. 2, 1, so 2 along and 1 up can go here. 6 along and 1 up can go here. And 6 along and p up, well, that is somewhere up here. Now, p might be negative, and maybe in this question, actually, there might be 2 values of p. I imagine in an exam, they'll probably specify a positive value of p or something like that. But let's suppose it's here. Well, what can we say? We want this to have an area of 5. Well, what's our base? Our base here, well, it goes from 2, 1 to 6, 1. So it's got a base of 4. Well, since this point here is 6 along and p up, we've got a right angle here. So what we can say is that base times height over 2, half of base times height, should be equal to 5. So I'll just do this up here. I've got half of my base multiplied by a height should equal 5. So that's 2. So h should equal 5 over 2, 2.5. And so the height should be 2.5. So from 1 up to 3.5. So p is going to equal 3.5. Now, there's another value of p because I think given the information we've actually got, p could have been 3.5 below, so way down here. So that would be that p was 2.5 below 1, which would be minus 1.5. Now, I just wrote this question, and in an exam, you'd probably have it specified whether it was either 2 values of p or just the positive value, but both of those are legitimate values because both of them have an area of 5, and when you multiply that area by the determinant or the scale factor of 64, you do indeed get an area of 320. Okay, so that's all on enlargements and stretches. We're going to start putting that together in future videos when we look at successive transformations. So I'll see you there.